First map goes to Team North, 16-13 on DE Nuke. Next up is going to be Inferno, the second match of the evening, and we're going to see this is a map that G2 absolutely has to have. They still are stuck. One win on the season that came just last night. They have to get going. They have to pick up some kind of speed into the middle portion of the season. Guys, I mean, we talked last night when we saw, I believe we saw last night, we saw Inferno as well. Can't remember for some reason, but we have talked many times how Inferno is still a little bit of a random map. You don't really know what you're going to read, what's coming.
Inferno, random map indeed.
Well, you know, like how the teams perform on the map. So.
No, you're right. And in this instance, G2 haven't even played it yet as an official.
Exactly,
so
and that's where I think the random. I'm sorry, I thought you were. I'm reading the adulation in your voice. Carry on.
Once more, we don't have any data on G2, so it's going to make it very difficult to predict how they're going to play. But I would not like to see double AWPs. One AWP's good. What do you think, Matt?
I can talk. I don't think it's the worst idea on Inferno. The problem is that the rotations are so long, so that if you get picks off the start, it's great. As soon as you have to play a retake game, it doesn't work at all. You kind of have to be dynamic with the one that you use on the CT side. I don't even think a T side op is relevant in this. I think you can still play at 5 rifles without a doubt. As for randomness, I don't think random's the right word. I just don't think there's a default that's been established as the primary one yet, because there's not been enough information to read teams. There's different styles of teams. I did mention it last night. There's more of an influence to go over toward alt mid off the start of the round than try and contest banana. Teams aren't exactly comfortable as of yet as to how to control that point.
So here is the, we were talking about this. This is the late banana control by the lads from North. Now, the Molotov was a little bit off there, but this was the one from, I think, the second game we ever saw on Inferno and official against Gambit.
Las Vegas.
So that's a little cool initiative from North, and we actually saw FaZe do it better. With Nico and Carrigan, I believe it was. They had a better regiment, and they were using 2 HEs towards the log/tree area. It's a great way to clear out the banana and get late round control.
Especially because that once you throw those 2 Molotovs down, that's the only pocket you really have a safety as a terrorist there.
You got nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's always fun, trapped with grenades.
Yeah, the other thing as well is that without the smoke going down, it does take a little bit more utility to get a presence that deep in banana. So we're still seeing teams anchor with 1 guy down low toward mid to get the information early so they can leave the 4th guy, if you will, or the 2nd guy in B to rotate to A, but it just takes longer to get there.
When we get to the Astralis game a bit later, I got something nice for you, Matt. You'll be over there casting, but you'll still see it. I'll show you something nice that Astralis do.
I'm not going to pay attention at all.
Does he look like the kind of guy?
Sitting beside you, I'm not listening to you.
He doesn't look frazzled one bit.
Yeah, he looks entirely
It's crazy that someone can possibly have crazier hair than me. And he's done it.
He's working for it, though. You know, it comes naturally to you.
You said, Chad, we weren't going to mention hair this segment. I think you lost the bet.
Look at yourself, though. I mean, who's the real winner and loser here?
I always win.
All right, back to it. I mean, now we're going to see. We have seen North. You just showed that clip of the delayed banana control. We've seen them have a couple matches. They did lose to Optic on it, but then they've won matches since then. So they've kind of fixed things up, and they called it first a Joker pick.
Yes.
And now is it less of a Joker pick for these guys?
Yeah, because the first time you play it, you're feeling it out. You have no idea how it's going to be played. They were more than happy to embrace it early. Now it's established a little bit more. You can see how teams want to play it. I agree with Matt in terms of the T's using the second mid default and going and getting the boiler and holes control first. So some nice little meta changes early on. It's going to evolve very quickly. I think we did touch on that last night, much quicker than Overpass, Cobble, the reintroduced nuke, that kind of stuff, because of how important it is.
It's also clean.
Well, and it also hasn't like changed very much fundamentally in its layout. Is that actually, can that actually help G2 since they've, you know, obviously they have so much experience on it as players? I mean, is that going to be a benefit to them at all?
Yeah, I think timings and rotations are still the same, and basically positions are. It's just the utility and how to get map control that's changed.
And you can have more heads-up duels, I think. You know, you're not going to be as gimmicky. There's not this little, like the car peak in Banana and how Ember that was, right? That thing was like a tank.
And Crim's little one-way smoke on top of the cart, stuff like that.
Haven't seen many one-way smokes just yet coming out, but they will exist.
I actually think there's potential for one.
The nightmare is coming.
Yeah.
No, yeah, well, I think there's a potential for one at the top of the half wall at Banana where they CTs boost into it. It's not a full one-way, but it's really hard to see from the bottom of Banana.
I would really like to see the Frenchmen reinvent this strategy they were running on 4 spies, where basically they had, I believe it was 4 players going second mid, 1 player from like T-Stairs smoking the top mid, and they'd set up these smokes and flash execute that was super well run. They'd smoke off the boiler side of middle, they'd smoke deep jungle, and they'd actually run through it, and they had this really good set routine of flashes and then pincer onto the A bomb site. If they could reinvent that, I haven't seen anyone come up with it. It was a French strat, however, inspired by Existence, but it was a bloody good one. I stole it, won a couple rounds with it. It was a good time.
Yeah, very, very good time. Well,
Bloody
see,
hell,
I mean,
Kaba.
that's the double-edged sword that the French teams have always had, though, right? Is having like, that investment into those force buy rounds and like obviously winning some of them. But if they're not winning them, then obviously that's a little bit of a struggle. So, I mean, is this now we saw it a little bit on Nuke, that crazy like force buy to open up their T side? Is this another trap they can fall into? I mean, Inferno's not nearly, I guess, as CT sided as potentially it used to be.
It's definitely not. But I didn't fully listen to the question, so I'm going to let Chad answer.
Yeah, I think we'll see the force buys again because it's much easier to get openings, right? We don't have the same level of distance like a train or something like that where you can't really take those duels unless you're going to hit the Diggle 1Bs. And you can do a lot of force buy executes, which is a bit contradictory because we know that G2 don't have a lot of executes, or at least we haven't seen many. So I think we'll still see the force buys. Whether or not they're effective or not.
I think CTs have better chance for force buys on this map.
Close quarter combat, do you think?
Well, it's just because you can get inside a boiler, you can get inside of apartments, you can contest those choke points quite easily. You can get there without really much risk, whereas the Ts obviously have it. And Ts want to play a range game where they're trying to pick dominant and pick inside of the side toward coffins. So for that sake, I think the CTs have a better chance to force buy than the Ts do, which is actually a good thing in a way because we know CTs, it's harder to build economies. So
now, one thing we've seen on Inferno that's been very, very cool lately, obviously with FaZe and Alu, we saw in the Katowice Grand Finals how aggressive he could be down mid. We saw it from a couple other teams. The obvious name that comes to mind is JW, but who on these teams is going to have the chance of doing that? Kenny, obviously, on G2. Is Cajun going to be going for something like that? Is his style as an AWPer to be able to be that aggressive? Because we've seen how effective it can be.
Yeah, I think Cajun's more of a passive AWPer, or at least, you know, holding a line and moving to another one. There's still a lot of options for players like Magix and Config to open up aggression with rifles.
We'll just see how that pans out for KGB. So we're going to go over to Mitch and Lauren to take this game away.
16-13 North.
Oh, God. It'd be great one time if Matt didn't just do that. You know what I mean? Like, one time, Matt, just let's... All right. Wow, Matt, way to go. All right, we're about to jump into this one. Mitch, I'm going to steal this from you because we are live into the game and we can kind of catch up with what's been going on. It's been an awkward situation because it kind of started a little early because Matt wanted to get his prediction in. So you can blame him because Shox might just be unleashed now as he somehow won 80s out of the apps, gets pick control, and goes to the BDP.
Right, so G2 want to try and establish as quickly as they possibly can. There's not as much cover on the side as there used to be here on Inferno, but the sooner Body gets there, the easier it's going to be. Cajun B is on the wide flank. It's going to take him a little while to get there, so that's going to allow the bomb to get planted. And Config, you'd think he'd wait a little bit until Cajun was in position, which is now. Up on the balcony, gets completely smashed by Shox, though, right in the pit. And now Config needs to face and deliver here. This is nigh impossible.
Normally, a 4v2 doesn't really work out, but Config's got a good idea as to how he wants to get around it. What a beast. What an absolute beast. Config. I love that. It was like, all right, Shox has given them hope. He's given them like a way back into this. And then Config just shuts it down. Good work on the retake from him individually, considering he didn't even have a kit. That's actually pretty impressive. But we didn't really get to see much of that pistol round. It was more just Shox playing out of apps, so we got to catch up on. So we'll have to kind of take stock and just see what's going on. And the topic of double AWPs might be answered by G2 on their CT side. We've definitely seen a couple of teams going for it. And what we didn't see yet was, when we were watching Fnatic, we didn't get a chance to see them do it because they never had the money to even get one AWP up on their CT side. But I know from their prac games, they do like to run it, so there's the team that will often opt for it. But we'll see if North, I don't think North ever would. They're not a team that really runs it. But we'll see what they can do with Cajun B on the AWP once he gets there.
I'm still reeling at how Config gets himself 2 1v1s in that scenario.
Oh, wallbang from Config. That's nice. That's from the
I haven't
other
seen
end
that
of
before.
apps.
That's nice.
You can wallbang a lot of apps completely and utterly. I know a lot of teams have been toying it. Rain was one for FaZe. He had some nice pieces down towards quad. You can kind of jump up by the window and shoot straight down. But this could be a quick hit here. Straight out. Apps, and actually Config's so blind here. He couldn't handle it, but Magic is quickly on the side to wait and deny them the push-up, but can't hit the shot towards Kenny. And that recovered rifle sits perfectly in his hand.
This is good pace for G2 now as well, wasting no time in getting on towards a side and a good smoke to screen. It means Cajun B just has to take 5. He's going to have to wait probably at least for a little bit for MSL to get around the corner now. The smoke doesn't completely cover that orifice there, but it's enough for Cajun B just to say, we're going to back up.
Yeah, they had no kits as well, which is a bigger problem. They didn't have a single one on the players left. And to be fair to G2, they seem really proficient at hitting through those apps. I want to see if we see more of that. There was a smoke actually that helped them out there. It didn't go quite to the balcony ledge. It kind of went before it, almost maybe by the cart. It did kind of, I guess, block some of the push out, but you're just depending on those flashes to be on point towards that player in pit, which was Config, who was completely blind. So I'd love to see who threw that flash. I think it might be one that comes off that chimney that you can now do through apartments themselves. So it looks like G2 have put a little bit of time into this one, so I'm very, very much excited for it. And let's remind ourselves as well, Kenny's had some of the biggest individual moments on this map. As a shot,
I remember the AWP clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, over on the A site. That was dumb.
These guys have had some of their biggest plays. Shox playing back in on B, that retake, and like it was a 1v5 or something obscene. They've all had incredible moments, so this could sit very nicely for them in their map pool if they've actually picked it up and run with it a fair bit here. North as well, shown that they wanted to get this map early. They did lose out to Gambit, it was, but most people know that Gambit had put a lot of time into this map, into that, you know, learning it very quickly. And nades up mid, Cajun just gonna have to suffer through it, and this is a very quick hit. I like this a lot. Just gonna wrap towards CT, go straight through it. Now Cajun B's gonna get fed a couple of kills here, actually. So that's a bit of a problem. Now, they've had to slow down a bit, and now there's a bit of an issue ahead of G2. They don't have complete control here. There's a lot of smokes and a lot of angles that could contain some of these players.
Something we've seen in previous times on this map is particularly CT's unable to get a lot of information if they sort of turtle up on A. Now, Majiska's in a similar position. He has no idea about apps, excuse me, he has no idea about who's going to come around from what side on him there. Eventually he's going to fall as it's going to be G2 to collapse on towards the site. Again, North in a position where they'd have to consider saving if the bomb had been planted maybe 10 seconds prior. They can still go for this now, but it's going to be so hard to get G2 off this site.
Good positioning from MSL there to lock the two players into the site. He's very vulnerable. If he'd maybe found an angle to work with, he could have played on the retake there, but not going to happen. Now, Config fancies his odds here. Maybe we're trying to get their money down a little lower, maybe just find an angle to work with, punish one of the players, and there goes the element of surprise, and there's the back away. He's got armor, he's got CZ, so really, what are you going to do here, Config?
We saw a similar situation to this last night. Config managed to get him something with the CZ there, but no gun to be recovered, no chance for that. At least AZ has an M4 into the next. But a lot of times, teams are forced to save in many of these rounds on their CT side. Sometimes the bomb sites are utterly unassailable. And in this case, obviously, North coming in with no kits 2 rounds in a row. This is Cajun B receiving that very quick push there. Now, it's costly ultimately for G2, but they stabilize and control that site. And North are forced to filter in a couple players and then back away entirely.
This looks like another apps piece, probably just because of Shox, unless they're leaving him on his own and the others go banana. I'm wondering what he's going to do with that sort of. We've actually seen it twice now coming out, so I don't know. I'm not going to doubt it until we see it in full effect. AZ is the one with the rifle on this, and Config, of course, the one with the CZ. So those two are the ones that can do damage for North. On the other side, it's pretty much down to the SMGs. They do have the support of the rifles there as well. I like this angle. It can do work. I guess they're trying to play in AZ, give him a chance, an opportunity to turn the tide, which isn't going to be simple at this point. You can see them baiting out here. G2 know what's going on. Nicely played from them.
It's a passive way of trying to exert some control over Banana as a CT, but G2 are expecting that. You can see very slight peaks. That wall, a lot of players have spoken about it recently. Maybe in more of a problematic sense. It can be quite frustrating to play against, but North are unable to utilize it in this case. And Shox has had no one push towards him. North playing a long way back, and again, means that those streams of information are going to be that much harder to come by.
I like this so far, though, from a G2, that slower, more cautious approach, just purely because they're going to clear corners, they're going to use all those mollies, all those smokes, try and bait in North to do something, to walk into it, to try and find that angle to play with. A little bit of a nice pop flash there, setting them up.
Config's been back and forth, deciding whether it needs to rotate now. And it's going to be too late as far as G2 start to make the push on towards this side. Magisk in the corner, body gives him no chance to breathe. And Config screened out by the smoke. Flash comes out just as it dissipates, but no one is there as it clears. And this will be a long-range shot. He kind of has a sense that body might be there, but you'd be crazy to go for it.
Yeah, Config, you're hoping for something, but you're probably going to get nothing. Same with MSL, just the USB. AZ's a long way off. He's hiding over in dark over at B, so just wants to keep that M4. Can't blame him. Good work there from Config. I wonder if is there a rifle drop? Apex did have one, so he must have swapped that around,
SMG,
actually. He must have gone hunting, because he killed someone on the site with the AK. So, so far, so good for G2. This looks well-constructed, well-made T-side. It's quite clean. It's got plans. This is what we wanted to see. They've had the time to put hours into this map to refine their approach, not just play that same old style that we've seen a couple of teams just kind of copy and paste over it. So this so far is a nice indicator of that maybe they've been doing some work on this.
North played 3 people towards B in this round. Config maybe sat a little bit back towards CT, but he was definitely there. And the indecision on him, this is something we actually zeroed in quite heavily on it from LDLC last night, is it an early rotate? Is it too late? The rotate is so long on this map. It's incredibly long. So you really have to have a good sense and have your finger on the pulse to know where you need to be.
Yeah, it is a long rotate, vice versa, even if you're looking at A going over to B, because most players will sit towards quad, one towards pit, excuse me, diggity. So it is a very long rotate. Here's the boost over the smoke, though. This is something we saw in the last version. Players already pushed up towards bench. That could be a problem now. They need to back away from this and just be careful of a quick response. That could have come through. It hasn't. So again, G2 getting apps control very early on. No one really contesting that from North either.
At all, this map, really.
No, this is quite strange. But they've exuded the control elsewhere. They've got the banana control. MSL can be played into this smoke deep, so he can kind of control the angle. Ooh, the smoke's off. That's a problem. He's going to need to back away from that. And now Shox, now we saw yesterday it was Maniac doing this. He just kind of like ran out on the balcony and basically the player behind him was the one to get the trades. Nice flash in, Apex checks the angle, no one there. They're forcing North back quite deep on the site and it's going to make it hard for them to rotate quickly. And look at this, they've drawn MSL over and there's still 2 players at the bottom banana and that one player has the bomb. Now this is a problem, MSL needs to run back. He needs to get there to be able to help out his teammate. And there's very little utility left, barring Config. Now he is all the way over at pit, so he's the last person to be useful in this one. Shox to be fed. He can just keep people on A, make the rotate hard, make them second guess, because the hit's about to come in towards B. MSL and AZ, you better be ready.
Good from AZ to get the boost on MSL. We'll have enough time to do so there, but MSL has to turn the flash. Somehow finds the head of NBK. Fortunate perhaps, but it's going to bolster North now as they try and hold on to this site. MSL has to stand and deliver eventually with 9 points of health. It's just not going to be enough. Body puts him in the grave. Now North again save. 4 rounds in a row. They need to sit on A and hold on to their guns.
Yeah, the rotates have been denied so hard. Shox has been basically, selling them hook, line, and sinker on. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going A, guys.
We had a Tech 9, he just flashed and then backed away.
Yeah, a bit of a smoke came out as well towards the balcony at some point. That might have been configs, to be fair, just to buy time. But at the end of the day, what they're doing, G2, is completely running North on their own game. It's really, really nicely done, showing how hard it is to predict the right side to the right time. Something that people used to, I guess, credit Fnatic with, something that they used to say how good they were at it, was the fact they always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. This doesn't seem the case right now for North. They are finding it very hard to put themselves in the right position. Even with that early control on Banana that they had that aggressive CT start, but it just didn't pay off for them. And we do have AZ rejoining us, so that might take a pause and a readjustment. But yeah, Joe, I like this map, and we're starting to see teams get accustomed to it, which is what I enjoy. We're starting to see that kind of, I guess it coming down to being in the right place at the right time. If you're stacking out towards quad side or diggity side, in pit and such, you're costing yourself a very long rotate. So we might see that changing up soon enough once they get the weapons they need. They're back on a good buy for North. They did save 3 of the guns, so they're fine on that. But it's G2. It's the approach they have. We are live into this, so we can get back into game here and see what G2 can do now. They have complete control of this game, and there is no technical pause. We are live, so let's get into game.
Okay, North would like to establish themselves more in this map so far, but this is as close as MSL's going to get. He sees a lot of G2 coming, brave as he was to stand and spray down, but it's a 1-for-1 trade, and now AZ knows he's going to be in trouble in a second. Config and Cajun B were close to B. They're going to be able to get at least towards CT and try and have some impact on this, but AZ, 1 point of health, just gets away from the Molotov, but it's going to be hard for him to hang on.
But they finally have the rotates in the right place. Good flash as well to set up Config. There's the player behind him, though. Shox was over there by Paul, so now it's just Shox in the 1v3, and he's not going to relive those magic moments they had on this map, but it's the first real reply from North, having the players in the right place at the right time, finally starting to pan out for them. I was a little bit worried when the player was so pushed up down towards Banana, just one of them very isolated. It
was MSL.
It was MSL. Getting caught out there.
It's a 1-for-1 trade, yeah. Do you think it's enough, in your opinion, for North just to purely guess the right bomb site? Do you want to see a little bit more attempts, at getting that deep smoke down Banana and taking control, maybe some apps play from the CTs?
I like CT aggression on this map. It looks incredibly gutsy as well. You saw Orpa's doing it a lot, so Alu. You saw Dupree doing it, surprisingly. The teams who picked it up, I like that sort of aggression. Hobbit was one of the players who did it as well. I think it's really enjoyable. It does take a lot of guts just to bomb it down mid or try and play in towards apps, play it deeper. You saw JW being a bit of a master of that in the past. I think you have to get those small bits of information. It's not like you get the whole picture, but taking map control somewhere gives you an idea of everything else. Now, this is something that I guess Keo really ran with during the major phase, put himself up on these unorthodox areas. I don't think you can do it yourself. I mean, you used to be able to do the jump off the balcony ledge up here. I think you need the boost on towards the porch, but still, I think it's a really nice adjustment. It's just a hard angle to hit, and you can still fall back quite safely. So they can bolster the numbers here, and I'm a little worried that they're stacking towards A so much with, I guess, a limited amount of information. AZ's starting to play down Banana, but if G2 get wind that MSL's already pulled himself over, this could be problematic. But this last time was almost hindered by CajunB being here. Let's see how MSL fares.
Gonna try and back away through the smoke. Does just get the flash and able to escape towards Library. He's expecting the wrap and he was correct, but he's not able to make the right decision in turn when it came to the firefight. But the bomb still being held by Shox in towards A. That goes down. Magic catches him. He gives the call. The bomb is there. Back in apps. So now North can turtle around this one and hold their ground.
Exactly that. Now, as soon as the bomb got picked up, Shox was so isolated, the rest of the team has to play back into this after they gained so much ground previously. Body turning it, you know, you're accepting your fate, but really well played in by Magic then, dominating that. He put himself up in that good spot previously as well, up onto his boosted kind of like new plant pots or new position that's up there, even though it was in the last iteration. This one seems far more utilized after the back of that boost. So really nicely done. We are going to see Kenny S on the AWP on the T side, so hoping for a bit of action from him. I can imagine CajunB still going to be by his. Yeah, just dropped out for him, or he just dropped out a gun for someone else. So this is the battle I want to see, but it looks like we might not be getting the head-to-head fight, but again, G2 are quite exciting on this T side, so certainly no qualms with them just taking themselves towards another side of the map.
If North can get a bit deeper in Banana and actually spot this out, it's going to help them a lot. In fact, one of those 3 plays towards B should be rotating back now, and he is. MSL backing away as CajunB and AZ have sort of given the green light in terms of any B pressure. It could come later in the round, but it looks like G2 aren't willing to wait that long. They're going to try and jump on this A site with only 2 players on it. It could be a good decision for them, but Magisk is able to get himself only the 1 kill. MSL and AZ are just now coming through from CT, and G2 are already establishing themselves on A with Body in position to plant.
Yeah, a bit of a team flash then actually gave them an opportunity, and MSL almost caught Shox in the heels, but the bomb can go down. It's in the hands of Body. He's got so many teammates around him to keep him safe. Yeah, this is almost, you know, written off. This is so impossible for CajunB to play back in on, especially on just a AWP. So we're going to go over to T-Apps, get the save on. But G2 making it difficult, right? As soon as G2 set the pace of, we like to wrap CT Arch, we've been getting that Banana control, we haven't really been going that side for a while. They switch it up, hit it right back over towards it, and it works out so nicely. And
now is obviously Cajun probably just runs away here. If you're Shox in mid, he was playing loose off for the rest of G2. The moment you hear that smoke come deep down Banana from the CT side, your team knows that you need to go pretty soon, because one player's already rotating away on the CT, away from B, you know, especially if they stack it. Even if there's only 2 players at B, you'll often see one head back once they've got that good established control on Banana. So that's the go signal for G2 to say, if we don't push now, we're going to be up at potentially even or even worse numbers on this A side.
Now, I want to see what MSL does. What can he get? Can he get dropped out? I'm looking at the money. I'm pretty sure they can drop him over something. I just don't know what yet. It might not be an M4 at this point. Maybe just an upgraded pistol. Someone help him out. There we go, UMP, that'll do. That's fine.
That's totally fine.
That's totally fine. But CajunB, you're going to feel gutsy this time. They've been doing the boost over mid, but this time just going to be playing towards CT Arch. And Shox again, looking for that early control, probably going to build up towards apps. He's so good at doing it too. Individually, you can kind of leave him to that sort of thing. Doesn't hear Magic jumping up onto this, and this time, you know, this worked out really well for them before. They can loosen up someone like CajunB as well, I guess, that they can, you know, play how they want to play. It does leave a bit of a gap open though. They have no one watching the apps push out, so they're leaving CT Arch very, very open. MSL's going to pull himself back around, yeah, because they have no one watching it otherwise. He could just sit in Speedway, I guess, and just spot the cross, but maybe don't feel that's enough. Maybe they've got a read on this. Maybe this is how they feel this is going to go, but AZ is very, very integral to this round working out well for North. Just purely if he gets pressured, if he feels, you know, under threat, then MSL needs to go back. And that's just happened there. You can see at the top of the screen that number 1 is MSL. And AZ didn't necessarily see any gunfire. He saw a flash expended from G2. And that was enough for him to sort of back up and say, nope, I need help here. AZ going to sit passive on B while MSL takes his place pushing forward, but this is the real story. Magisk now in position. He wasn't there to get the trade. He actually dropped down, and that's not going to be good at all. G2 haven't even set foot on that A side, but they've still got 3 kills out of it. AZ as well, in such a sick spot. They've really shaken G2. They were so ready to hit that B side, but now it's all down to CajunB. He's going to push forward. Push. I guess you had to commit to that angle once you were there, but at the end of the day, it's brought it back to maybe a manageable situation for AZ. If he really wants to go for this, he's got a kit. But playing back into this when you know Kenny S is up, Shox is up, these are the 2 heavy hitters, and you've got to assume that Kenny's going to be holding this angle. Lovely shoulder peek from AZ there to draw out the shot. Now he can get a little bit more room to work with, but there's the utility put down to hinder his approach, and Shox is going to be watching the push here as well. So AZ, if he pulls this off, it would be phenomenal.
up on the cart now as well. 2 players and 2 different angles from him. Manazy has a good idea of where both of them are, but he wants to try and get 2 1v1s. He gets the first, but not the second. It's Kenny that peeks from the same angle that Shox had just gone down from. Good little bit of mind games there, and the Tech-9 will secure it. It's 6 rounds on the T side for G2. An admirable performance so far, and the money's good. But despite that, Shox is more than happy to go for a sawn-off, and even Apex for a Mac 10.
When you're Shox, I guess you might as well.
If you want to play that Apps role, that's fine. But
Yep.
I don't know. We just don't see North really try and take that real estate. We don't see him push off a balcony inside the halls yet.
No, this is just a let's get it over with, run down mid. USB only. Config's going to find a kill. That's nice. You're not going to recover these guns either, but it's just embarrassing for Kenny at that point. So please just die. There we go. So 4 alive. No worries. All good. They recover a rifle as well, so Apex can pick up the one that MBK dropped. They can just spread it out. But yeah, this is good from G2. I'm really liking their T side. Their approach is nice. They've got a good bit of pace to it. They've clearly put some time into how they like to play it out. We haven't seen many full-on B hits, but they never leave it completely unattended. They'll always put a little bit of pressure there. They'll keep AZ on his toes. They've been trying to cheat MSL over quite early on a couple of times, but every now and then he's had to go back, has to pay his respect towards, you know, keeping control of it. So again, G2, I'm liking what they've got so far.
Config went early to B with the Mag 7 and then backed away pretty quickly. So North fairly content with the foothold they have in Banana at this stage of the round. Again, Magisk. That's the kind of angle where a Mag 7 player can't really mangle. You're a sawn-off player in the case of Shox. So he felt confident being there. And now Config can do good work with his weapon. But now Apex is playing cannily. He knows what he's dealing with here. Lovely little peek from the other side. And the shotgun of Shox is going to be the better one. Still traded out by Magisk though. That's a peek off from balcony. The forces Apex out. 2 players per site for North now, and G2 are ready to make their move.
Good timing from AZ to come back around then, though. He's already there by Paul. I think he can readjust towards Ruins.
Dear.
A little unfortunate for MSL, but the timing as well is atrocious. MBK just takes a stroll through the smoke, a bad smoke towards CT, but he's going to make the most of it as he
You
can.
got to save, surely.
Yeah, it's going to be save time for North. It should be, at least.
Oh, Cajun. I'm not sure how I feel about that. When he went in towards CT, I was maybe hoping that someone had his back turned, but Kenny S was already waiting for him with the AWP.
Yeah, AZ's not happy with that either.
Yeah, no, he's done.
Like, why have you done this?
It's a waste of an M4. I mean, 1v4 retake on B, you know you're not going to win it. Maybe he was just hoping for something. You know, look, take a risk. That's fine with me, Lauren, but again, that doesn't help North now. I've only got about 3K each.
No, but the problem is as well with G2 that their money's so sound, it doesn't matter if you get guns away. There's, you know, a couple of players sitting on above 10K or around that marker, should I say. So, yeah, I'm not feeling that. I think it's a frustration play. This map can be incredibly frustrating because if you're just not in the right place at the right time, the rotates are the most punishing thing in the world. So it is kind of tricky, and it is probably one of the most annoying maps to play sometimes if you're just called out in the wrong place. So for them, this is a frustrating map, and North are being put through their paces. The map that they've had in their pocket for a while, they're not afraid of to pull out, whether it be a Joker pick or not. They do run with it. So they're kind of being reminded, they've been put on notice here that you've got to be able to kind of relock these ones down, because G2 have got an idea and they've got a great one as to how to play this out.
Boy, I don't really feel like G2 are being pressured that much at all, especially in the early to mid-round by North whatsoever. I mean, Magisk was sitting in apartments with an M4, but it was a passive angle. He was just waiting, just in case someone like Shox thought he'd barrel his way down there. And then they decided, okay, well, let's send Config close with the Mag 7. Maybe he can actually get something done here. He gets taken down. At least Magisk can trade that. But still, if you're a team that is not in position to get good information and you have even trades on the CT side, that's probably not going to be enough. Especially when G2 can group up and hit A or B and always have a man advantage if they take the entirety of their remaining team. And with the rotates being so long, you're often forced to save with the 2 players that are at the site that wasn't hit.
It has been a little underwhelming at the moment. It's kind of curious to see how this one pans out, because B doesn't seem all that kind of let's say locked down by North yet. It's hard to do it unless you have those mollies and nades.
Well, that last round was rough. They were sort of caught on the back foot.
That was unfortunate. But even prior to that, you look at how it's been going down, it's not been fun for them. They've been outdone here. They seem to be the middle ground. Like, they haven't committed to either style yet. Either we fall back to side play quite passively or play the normal style or the super attentive style. We saw Fnatic having a little bit of it. The one I want to look towards is probably Virtus Pro more than anyone. I really like the way they played Banana. I think they lost the map overall, but I think it was Neo playing it, and I can't remember who else was with him at the point. But at the end of the day, I loved how annoying they were. They never gave up the top Banana control. They were constantly being a presence there, constantly being a nuisance. Whereas North, it feels like as soon as G2 gets any control of Banana, they just fall right on back. There's no real contesting. I guess they can't at the moment. They don't have everything they want to be able to kind of do it, but at the end of the day, they need to change something.
There have been rounds where North have had enough money. The fact is the only time North gets control of Banana is when G2 allow that to occur. There's not been a struggle. It's very rarely it's actually been a fight for it. We see some teams that will, you know, while I don't necessarily agree with this all the time, brazenly have two players play forward of the car at least where they can get a one-for-one trade and then back away. You know, we're not seeing that really at all from North.
It was Olaf and Crims, the infamous duo doing it. Olaf, so aggressive down Banana. He, you know, halfway down Banana even before the round starts. You know, these sort of plays where he just wants to get right in their face.
Yeah.
It kind of works out for them. That's the thing. Like, obviously the game didn't work out. They kept getting reset. They kept, you know, winning, losing. Never had the full money on the CT side to bring out the double up they like to work with, nor the, you know, molly to nade corners. It was very tricky for them to stabilize, but still they showed that they can do it.
And sometimes the only time that North goes for that Banana controls when they've already got 3 players at B from the start of the round. And G2 don't care about that because as soon as that deep smoke comes down Banana, like I said, they just jump on A 5v2. Impossible to win that out in so many of these cases. So some, you know, proactivity from North perhaps to gain control of this part of the map might set them in good stead, but we're back in case you didn't realize, round number 12. But G2 have a very luxurious lead mounted now with 8 rounds.
Yeah, and this should be a cleanup round for them too. You can see the passive nature coming out from G2 just purely because they know there's going to be pistols. There might be a stack. There might be the kind of nuke with when you get 5 nades and you just chuck them somewhere. You try and get that pinch. We saw last time North going on the USPS, kind of just running straight down mid. So fair play to G2 just to kind of play out a default almost here. Just hold the angles on the map. Don't feed in the kills. Try and feel out where the stack might be if there is one. And so far they've done well by finding config.
And with that being said, that was obviously Config trying to push deep in towards apps. I mean, I guess it is along the same tune of some of the CT, you know, proactivity we were hoping for, but not with the arsenal to back it up and definitely not with the timing. In fact, Shox was waiting for him. I think G2 are reading North really well. Again, like I said, keeping their finger on the pulse of this map in each round. Never really at a disadvantage in most of these rounds. So KGB now, again, Shox, that's a second player to push into him. He has moved about a meter since the first time he got into that position. I understand it's pistols, but again, G2 playing this appropriately.
And again, look at it. They've still forced Magic to rotate over towards B and walked up quad. It's just like, guys, please. But then again, Magic's got armor, so he might just want to keep hold of that or play, you know, at the back of library, hoping to get a couple of exits. But G2 showing pretty much they are the better team so far. I know that North can play their T side, but you need, personally, I feel you need more than 3 rounds to give yourself a buffer for it. They need to close out with a good few. They picked up the pistol and then got turned, but look at the amount of bomb plants that have come in as well for G2. It's why their money's so robust. A lot of the rounds have been clean as well, keeping a fair amount alive. North constantly having to save weapons and save players back. AZ are going to get the rifle at least from MBK, which is a nice pickup for him. And they can stay alive in the corner.
Yeah. We saw the same last night and even prior to that. A lot of save rounds forced from CTs because the rotation's too far, and by the time you even rotate to the side, I mean, I'm sounding like a broken record at this stage, but yeah, you're very split on this map. And this has always been what Inferno's like. It's not like anything's been changed. The routes between the sides have always been like this, and rotations and how early you make them, or how late for that matter, have always been a really important, quite a fascinating part of this map. But G2 are compounding this issue for North by mind gaming them on purpose and being very mobile.
It's so tricky. So tricky. But we finally get a good buy coming in. And let's bear in mind, from, like, let's say quad, just running over towards B, it's still 21 seconds if you just pelt it. So it's not exactly...
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long old rotate. So if you're caught in the wrong place at the wrong time...
It's a sixth of the round, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, it's not fun. And G2 again, let's see what they can do. We've got the kind of default style they like to go for. Shock's kind of building through apps. He mollies it out. He doesn't have a shotgun this time, so he's actually going for it. Apex with him. Just trying to exude a little bit of presence towards Banana. They've got MBK just ahead of the smoke. He's going to back out of that, though. Body's there as well, just making basically North go through all of their utility here, keeping them back, keeping the bay. They can do a nice deep smoke now if MSL wants to push up. They still have one over there. But G2, again, getting ready to jump off towards A. You've got the 3 players. The flash comes in. This is straight up pressure towards Cage and B. Going to just flash it out, back away in towards Library. But still, nice angle from Matchday. If this works out for him, oh, he just leaves it a little too late then. I think he couldn't quite see the player, but this, again, is something we've been seeing constantly from G2, and this pressure's worked really nicely so far.
Yeah, again, another ramp sort of being anticipated. This time, Shox isn't holding the bomb in Boiler, and MSL is able to get 3 kills. Good turnaround for him, and the bomb is at his feet now. Switches to the AWP. He's got backup as well. There was a player in Library. That was Magisk. Was taken down by MBK, but that man is in a 1v4 now. And again, will eventually be leapt upon. Good couple moments there from North. I thought it could have gone downhill very quickly after Magisk failed to, make that shot as the smoke did clear.
Well, the one thing that worked out in my eyes then is that when they were rotating, one, MSL was in the right place. That definitely helps, right? He was already there by kind of speedway, just watching the arch push through, but they had the crossfire at the back of it. So as soon as G2 try and push through, even to get that CT control, or even just, toy with library and such, they lose out. It was just a really nice bit of play from the two players. I think it was Cajun B and MSL just both sat there. Magisk got the whole idea of it. He saw at least two players kind of pushing around towards Arch. Call came through. Finally, it feels like North have a bit of an answer for this. But again, we haven't seen G2 under that much pressure, so we're waiting to see what they come back in now with. It's like, okay, well, maybe North understand what we're doing here, and they found a response. Where do we take ourselves now?
Half of the rounds that G2 have lost in this half, 50% of them, have been a result of them trying to wrap through CT. Yeah. And a majority of the ones that are winning are quite often when they're getting early advantages. Yeah, the money's not really been good for North. It's been sort of very back and forth, and that has necessitated some kind of plays like deals in towards apps from the CTs, trying to get some sort of advantage. But this play didn't work before from G2, and it doesn't now as well. So North keep themselves at 5 players, whilst G2 are pretty much pushing into their house. So it's not like they're doing anything crazy about it. G2 almost, breaking like waves upon rock if they try that sort of attempt at a wrap, because at least there's always the player that, like MSL who's already on the rotate and able to set up to receive that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that pause was actually G2's, just to come up with a new idea. That's what I want to see.
Something a little bit different. They've gone through quite a few different iterations of different approaches, though.
Yeah. This looks like, again, somewhat of the default beginning, but it doesn't mean this is where they're going to end towards the same idea. You can see Config this time going over very early. Back towards A. He was the player. He was being the third wheel over at B. Just put down the additional utility, put down the nades, the mollies, the smoke, whatever he wants to.
It's a deep banana smoke there.
Exactly, and that will allow MSL and AZ both to stay around this sort of area as well. But G2 have only really committed to getting apps control so far. You look at Apex, you look at Shox, they both kind of had a little bit of a peak down there. Apex is just running through the halls. He can make a lot of noise, which will keep players like Config and Magisk dedicated to these angles. We might see the same sort of hit we saw before, that very, very quick bit of pressure coming through. Here are the smokes. I wonder where Apex goes, actually. Is that a molly he's just set up there? Ooh. I need to go look. You can cast.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. It looks like it's set up on the porch there. I'm not really sure. Not too bad if it catches those players, but if they're in the Keo spot, I don't think that affects them at all. Banana was deep smoked twice in a row, and now AZ is out of those, so he needs to be a little bit careful, and chooses to back away. So now he has to seek that control, but it's worthwhile, because 1 minute and 20 of this round has been burnt, where G2 have not had any inroads. Now they're forced to have a player deep over here, and Cajun sitting back, comfortable, is able to get the pick.
And now G2 are in the same problem. They can't go B with the bomb. It's almost
25 seconds.
Too long now. So it depends how much they pull this rotate. It takes 12 seconds to get over this bomb, so they might just be able to make it there. But yeah, G2 are now stuck. You've got Config and Magisk over by A. Shox has to go here. He knows his time is running out, and Config's holding the angle. He's going to hear it all, but Shox goes through it.
Only Shox.
9 seconds now. Bomb's going to go down. And he's actually got a bit of time on this one. He's covered himself off from the apartments. He knows Magic's there. And you almost felt that Shox could do something with that. He can't in the end. He will be dealt with by Magic, but yeah, that was a bit spicy. A bit spicy. And I want to know where Apex's molly goes. I'm really curious.
So here's another round where we might have this molly for you. No, this is MSL. This is when he was in position well beforehand. No way you have information about it. Almost fluffs it as the shot goes into the pillar. And at this point, G2 are so committed, they have to go for it. They have to try and face him down, but not quick enough at all. Slower round. North managed to buy a lot of time, especially on the B side of the map. When AZ was playing that on his own, when the first smoke gets thrown deep in Banana, then you can leave one player at B. Because AZ's got a smoke of his own. When it clears, he throws one, and then backs away into B, and then there might be a rotate if needed. So North played that one well, knew how to give themselves comfort and confidence as the map went into the later stages of the round.
I think G2 might be doing the deep smokes, one towards the library, I think, and then a fast hit through towards quad. You've already got a close smoke towards CT Arch, and we're just going to see the hit now coming through. They've already got decent players up here, Body and Apex, and you can see the jump point waiting on maybe MBK and KNS, but they've been smoked out, so they're kind of stuck here now.
Yeah, they're going for it. I think they have to at this stage. MSL, again, now making that rotation. Just on the other side of that smoke for Apex. And Apex has to be ready for it this time, because he knows there's always one sort of loose lurker that likes to hang around that part of the map. But Magisk and Config are about to be tested. The Molotov comes through. This forces Config essentially out into the open. He's preparing to turn a flash, but it doesn't actually come. Now, spray down on towards the balcony. This is good from North. A good opening. Magisk with 2. Patient play pays dividends here for North, and it's going to be 4 men still up at the end of the round. At the end of the half, they bring it back to 6 on that CT side. Lauren, not ideal, but a decent recovery as they started to read G2 better.
There's breathing room for North, but not much. G2 looked very good on their T side, so I'm very excited what they can bring on the C2 side. Will we see a double AWP? There's a lot of questions. I'm sure we'll find out a very good answer.
Now, after the break, back with the second half. We'll see you in a moment. Colourful and varied play gives G2 a bit of an edge coming into half-time on their T side. Some very fast-paced plays put North on the back foot, but now they're starting to bite back a little bit more. It's 9-6 at the half, Lauren, and North, they have a chance to go on that T side and see what they can bring.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see how robust G2 is going to be. This is exciting for me, but now North have a plan, and they are going to be going quickly towards B, it seems. Flash has come in, Body's blind, but he's going to at least get the swing out now, but there's already a lot of those North players, well, at the door, should I say.
Yeah, not very elaborate from North, pretty straightforward. The blunt object now swinging on towards the B side. Cajun Config doing well to respond after shots, got the first kill, and Apex not being allowed to get into the site. There's a lot of headshots this round, but Kenny needs to make 3 consecutively to win it out, and he can't. So good opening from North there, just to Glock train straight on towards B.
Yeah, that's simple. Simple and does the job. Simple and effective. Fine with that. The first flash was really nice. Oh, no, excuse me, the second flash. The flash into the site was nice. Just purely because it completely blinded up the one player. I think his body was just sat there at the old coils or coffins now. Just blind. Couldn't do anything really with it.
Yeah, to drop back and back away completely.
Yeah, it allowed North to kind of get up close with the Glock. So it allowed the play to really come through. So G2 have a decent buy with, you know, Deagles coming in, still got some smokes and such. They can make something happen with. They're very talented players on this, but on the other side, of course, North have a far greater bit of weaponry beside them. UMPs galore, a Galil for Magisk, and Cajun B on the full-on rifle. So, Body can be probably played in by Shocks, I can imagine. Or Body's just going to turn play anti-flash. I wonder how they're going to do this one. Just waiting. Nothing really kind of, yeah, just testing the waters.
Smoke still stands. There was 2 of them, but Body just takes his perfect moment to push forward the 5-7 to claim the head of MSL. Still 3 North players are quite intent on working on towards his B site. Apex and MBK are still over a day. Not too worried at the moment. Majiska's in a weird spot. We'll get to that later on, just in case there's a push down from mid. So now Kenny is in position. Flash out on towards the site, but Body's just caught out in the open for a little bit too long. There is a Kenny S. Deagle at work.
And Shocks.
Shocks, 5-7. Now the Kenny S. Deagle. Both of them chiming in harmony, but it's 2v2. NBK and Apex are trying to get towards his B site here. And he won't get close enough. The AK is going to make it very, very hard for Apex to get purchase. And NBK is not much in a better position. It's just the Desert Eagle for him. Still no bomb plant, interestingly enough, with 23 seconds left.
All right, MBK, what have you got? You've got a shot at this now. Gets the tag towards Cajun B. If he'd hit one of those deagles we've seen recently, that could have changed everything. But Magis should get this kill, and he does. Just holding the push up there. As soon as the position was known, felt good about it, and there you go. Now, the problem, there isn't a problem. I guess North losing out on 3 is a bit of a shame for them. They could have stuck on the UMPs further into this, but they can go on to the farming guns if they fancy it. They know G2 is going to be very light for anything in this round.
No, you're right. It was a costly round, though, as well. I think you had Shox and Kenny S pretty much set up on that site. Them getting a kill each set them in good stead. Sure thing. Yeah, farming guns is exactly right. We've got MP7, we've got a MAC-10, UMP, Khalil.
And G2 gonna just run down Banana. Off we go. So, Ring of Roses begins. Body around the back. And North gonna power on through towards A. Now, you've got MBK towards Apps, but the only... Hello. Hello. Magis. That's a little bit of revenge from last round. And now Apex making me confused with gun sounds because he takes the silencer off. And Shox is a real danger man here because he's the one with the deagle. And you can see why. Cajun B's head gets torn off, but there's still 3 players alive. You shouldn't be losing out on this one. There we go. You're fine. You're fine.
I don't mind that from MBK. That's maybe not the expected positioning for someone on that pistol round, especially if you're already seeing G2 push 3 deep down Banana. The player wasn't looking anyway, so when he made that peek, it was pretty comfortable. 9-9 here. North able to even things up there. I mean, that's expected. They win that pistol round out. Now it's where things get a little bit more interesting because AC and Config have held on to those SMGs. They're the only 2 players in their team not to upgrade, whereas G2 are ready to roll with those rifles.
You can either go fast up mid, get a smoke towards quad side and just go straight through. Flash goes there. They're going really hard into this one. Look at this, playing ahead of the smokes. Kenny's going to be in trouble now because North have complete mid control. He's actually quite isolated on his own. If they go through that smoke, if he just feels uncomfortable, there is problems afoot. But they've still got Apex and MBK holding towards Graveyard and one towards the new kind of like area in pit where you can just kind of crouch there and make it really uncomfortable for the players against you. So North giving away a lot of the game here as to what they want to achieve, but they can still back away from this. They didn't commit much of that utility, so the counter boost doesn't really work out. They try to put themselves up on towards that little edge, and it doesn't really pay off as Apex finds Config.
Yeah, there's been that kill on towards Config, and North actually haven't made any more real progress on towards this site. Magisk falling. In fact, now we've had reinforcements here for G2. They've got all the players they need, and MSL has to fight his way out of this one. Apex got a kill from this position early. You can see the blood splatter on the wall, but he wasn't ready for the push from balcony there. Maybe a little bit of an oversight, but it was enough for Cajun B to sink his teeth in. And now a 3v3. Body slowly making his way over. There won't be any wrap here from most of North. Maybe even MSL just to check that. There's a smoke towards Library, and Kenny S needs to dig in on this site.
MBK can still be a real pain in this position. Just buys time. Sets up for Kenny.
No mollies for North.
Yeah, nothing to clear with. Kenny going down, though. MSL wrapping around. Such a good play. Alleviates all the pressure off A, and there it is. Body, you're going to be forced to save here no matter what you want to do. Bomb is down, and really nicely done by North in the end. They got such early control. They're so brazen playing up mid there.
Yeah, so far, I think it's safe to say that G2 on their T side were able to be a little bit more, quicker or I guess flashy on the way they pushed in. We see now that this is quite a costly round for them on that T side to try and get purchase up on that A side. It does work, but they play it through a little bit slower. The smoke that was thrown out that sort of blocked MSL as he wanted to work his way around for a potential wrap or whatever, stopped him in his tracks, whereas for G2, they were pushing those. They were more than happy to push the smoke with 3 people and go for a 1-for-1 trade as long as it got them that positional advantage or got them more real estate. Just small differences, at least so far.
Yeah, and for now, North have the lead in this. G2, we're yet to see an AWP coming out really for Kenny. We yet to see a lot of the things that they can actually do in this, so I'm hoping that they just kind of suffer through these rounds, go on that really nice buy. Kenny should buy almost nothing. He's gone for the P250, so...
They're forcing us.
And Shox has gone for the shotgun. Why not play the Nova? You're going to go up onto the blue barrels by the first box, or... Okay, we'll see what he does with this. Everyone else is stacked over towards A, though, so that's the plan from them. Shox is just going to sit here with the boomstick and just hope that it works out.
It also means that he can't get any information about what's happening in Banana aside from sound cues. He's not going to peek at this stage. Maybe small peeks, but it'd be risky to do so. That also means that North don't get to see who is up there. We'll see what they do with that.
They've gone for the double boost here, and you can spam through that window pretty nicely. You actually do decent damage.
Apex has got a decent anti-flash spot, even with the CZ.
Body's waiting anti-flash. I think it's Apex who's going to be taking contact, and then they'll just swing off it. So as soon as this happens, as soon as Apex sees anything, you might see Body come into play. But for now, this is really... I actually really like this stack. Apex is waiting. He's going to hear some of these steps as well. Here we go. So the first bit comes out. First flash. Apex takes that. And now you see Body coming in. That's the next big bit. But he actually gets outdone. Cajun B comes back in on the fight.
Oh, you're kidding.
And it just falls apart. Now, MBK, how much can you do? You're in a 1v2. The bomb was there. He can chase this. He can get an M4 and chase if he wants to. Cajun B, he's staring behind him. He's like, please don't peek. Just let me go. So there we go. This might be all over soon. MBK does have armor, though, but no kit. So timing is everything. He's got to play this one off smart. Configs a little, keeping taps towards CT, making sure no one can walk through that.
Yeah, and look, and this will be a fairly stock standard crossfire that North will put together here. There's no way they're going to allow NBK to get onto this side and be able to go one by one through these North players. They're not going to allow it to happen. Cajun B will swing out and peek as soon as he has to. There should be no reason, for NBK to win that round, even as good as he is, if North set it up properly.
Well, the thing as well is Cajun B turned that round back into their hands because they walked into that stack over at quad and it just actually eventually played out so nicely. Just because he got that kind of parting kill, let's put it, towards Body, which is quite surprising. But we do have the AWP now on the T side and the CT side. So Kenny, decent spawn for Ace. We could maybe, I don't think he's going to go for the pick there. No, it wasn't the perfect spawn to go for the play down mid. That's a gutsy one. Cajun B, though, putting it up for the challenge.
Yeah, picks himself up an AWP in this round. Nothing's showing in mid, though. Yeah. The bygone era of both AWPers just peeking mid to see who wins is definitely done. Team's playing a little bit more safer now, wanting to make more use of the AWP, at least hold it later in the round. Sometimes a bit of a dice roll to face mid.
It's a dangerous play from Shox to be that pushed out. Now, he does have someone watching his back, which is Body, but Body can't instantly help him. It's
with Shox standing at car, like a flash there, he's completely out of the open. There's nothing to obscure him. Not ideal.
Map control throughout the map here. Now, MSL's shown where the bomb is a little bit, but they don't have to necessarily commit to this. MBK is on the chopping block next. He does have Apex playing in the corner of the site. Now, the rotates are coming. Config is still over at Banana, though, so I'm wondering what North are up to. Why is Config not trying to be more active in helping them out here? Because this could be problematic. G2 have all the players in the right place, but AZ does not care. He's got 3 this round. He might just find 2 more at this pace, but Shox is the ace up the sleeve.
They're back out and go to B here.
Yeah, they will now. Config's got such a
Body
nice spot.
over-rotated. I mean, I guess you got to have to, but Config will spend all round in Banana. Oh, this could be nasty. Maybe B. Not the best idea. No, North is still happy to take the 2v1 situation. They've got an AWP. They've got an AK to work with.
Oh, my God. This gets a little deadly. 25 seconds, you're going nowhere else. So make your mind up, make your play, and guess, well, pick your poison, isn't it, really? They can smoke off CT. They've got a little bit left on AZ here. Body's readjusted. Making room for Shox if he eventually wants to come over. He's still worried about A slightly if they've just kind of hit the brakes and gone through apps or something. 10 seconds now, they've got to make the hit. First molly goes in, stops the peak towards site. Body can no longer deny the plant. That goes down. Now, Cajun B probably going to go towards Banana. A safe position, I guess, for the AWP. And Shox is actually coming this way. Does Cajun B hold his nerve long enough? Yes, he does. Nicely done by him. And now they know the other player was by this site. So they know Body's going to be around here. It's either CT or Ruins. And Body's got a lot of angles to clear.
A kit is all well and good to have, but a crossfire can be easily assembled here, and it is done. North able to take that round away. I'm going to bring it right back to the start of the round there as well. Something we didn't really touch on is that Kenny S had that AWP, didn't peek mid, but he held the corner at quad. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. Well, this was one of those situations here. The spray down came through. That was Apex and MBK falling just before that. But yeah, Kenny S had the AWP. That corner opposite from quad is actually kind of hard to fall back from because it's quite a long walk. So if you take a shot and you miss it, and the Ts are moving fast, they've got UMPs or whatever, then it's likely you're just going to have to go for the trade. You need a teammate watching you from pit and just know you're going to drop.
All right, fast play from North. Look at the pace they're going in towards Banana, and they've got the bomb with them. You've got Manish towards second mid, and Cajun towards, default mid almost, It just looks like they're expecting G2 to show aggression somewhere. They're going to try and maybe make that push down mid.
What do you make of this smoke? That from Body? Doesn't really block anything off. It obscures his view more than anything.
It gives him room to play around with, I guess. It gives him room to play on the smoke, get into the pit. Good flash allows him to do so, but the problem is Config's gone ham while this was going on. Body's trying to pull it back from the brink, but it doesn't seem he can do enough. Now MBK is a mile away, and this one's all but over. So bomb goes down. Config having a bit of a blinder that round, really. Yeah,
I mean, that was the big reason there. 3 kills for him. NBK has to save that old chestnut. It is Inferno after all. It's UMP. And this is North really starting to make some big strides forward here. And this is going to really put pressure on G2. I really think they have to completely eco next round. Like 550, round loss bonus is a thing. G2 haven't won a round this half. So they might just be cobbling buys together until the game is finished if they don't win any rounds. And yeah, that smoke. I mean, it was dropped fairly short in front of that player to play safe over on B. That's MBK there. Magic goes a little bit too close. They want to get this gun away from him, but MBK can probably buy it up in the next round anyway. And he goes down to AZ.
Yeah. So currently, let's have a little check in on the scoreboard as well at some point when we come back to this. But this, I think, was Config playing
That was him
through
pushing,
the smoke.
yeah.
That was really nice follow-up on towards Apex too. That just denied every bit of support that was coming in towards that side. Left body so alone. Not much more to be said about it, really. It's just one of those, isn't it?
The only reason I brought it up is because the smoke thrown by that one player for G2 on the B side prevents him from actually setting a crossfire with his teammates in CT.
Yeah.
He can maybe get around towards a statue, but it's almost like, well, yeah, I'm throwing a smoke here. You can't see me, but now you can access CT, and I can't see you do that. So, I mean, look, I'll harp on it. I just find it very interesting that maybe it was not thrown a little bit longer to stop the players sort of pushing straight through from car, but it's possible that they were already there too early.
Yeah, there might be method to the madness that I just didn't see, if I'm honest. It could have been a fluffed smoke. You know, the smokes have changed. They're actually pretty tough on B. There are a couple of lineups that give you the perfect smoke to the top of Banana, but they're just not as easy anymore. You used to be able to just do them on the fly and slow down the T side so easily. Now it's a little bit more tricky, but not too much. So if you put in an hour or so into just like doing your nades, you'll find something that works for you. But it's just the small changes, right? You have a habit. But the big question is for G2, how do we recover this? How do we somehow deny North? North have got so much money now built up. What, around the 5K mark on a couple of players. They're in such a good position, money, across the board. I just don't know how G2 can get back into this. We haven't seen enough with the AWPs coming out. We haven't seen a double AWP. We haven't seen too much aggression anywhere on the map. I want to see more of that, but I guess it's kind of hard to bring that sort of play out, especially when you're losing out on these rounds. It's hard to get that confidence. You're like, all right, let's just bang it down Banana. You know, it just doesn't feel that good. G2's T side, though, was something to certainly remember. They did have so much to bring on that, and it's a shame we don't see that replicated into this.
Yeah, and the thing is at North, they're actually not forcing early rotations or playing too many mind games with that. There was one round, I think, that got down to a 2v2, and then they sort of backed away, and MBK had to chase. But
I like this new look of Inferno.
Yeah, their first efforts on the sites for North have been mostly successful. That's where their rounds are being won. It's not as if they're teasing something. They're not really leaving that loose player, to imply something in A like we saw G2 use shocks for. They're actually just hitting with a bit more intent than trying to skip around the issue. And actually, it's not bad for them if they can make it work, because it gives them more time.
Right. You have a couple of mollies. At the end of the day, I just want to see G2 get on the board so they can finally maybe get something they need, the double, whatever it is. I just want to see it happen so we get that little bit of a deeper game coming out from them, because they've shown so much potential on their T side.
Yeah, it's like they're full loss bonus, right?
Oh, God.
Full loss bonus doesn't always give you enough to get everything, right? Like this is what G2 have brought up, and they have 0 from that full loss bonus. So it's still less than ideal. There's enough smokes, at least, that they can sort of stall and put some, chronological pressure on North, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
You're digging deep for that one.
Oh, God. I don't think there's a better word, really. I'm not sure.
No,
I'll ask Matt.
That's about it.
Matt knows words.
Yeah, he's a very wordy guy. North, though, going towards that quad pressure again, and they're winning out on every aspect of the map. Being able to find shocks now means the body can't just jump across and try and help out towards A. The rest of North can now start their pressure as well. They've got Kenny S and Apex on the other side of this, though, and Kenny hasn't been playing this close. He normally falls back quite far, and he actually gets flashed in really nicely on that. But at the end, it doesn't work out. Now, Apex is the next in line. Deep smoke towards Arch. That cuts him off. That now opens up the possibility of maybe we're wrapping.
Yeah, they could imply that they've wrapped here. There's no way for Apex to know.
All their numbers through towards Banana. And you've still got MBK a mile away. Apex is now going to be running over. He's got to be a little bit careful in the back of his mind. He's like, has anyone already pushed through speed? Or you can see him checking for it, but no one has.
Apex was pre-firing CT.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's see if Body can control it. 3 HP, though. He got such damage done to him early on, but puts up a wonderful stand, but it's not enough. Apex already fell, so North doing what was done to them, 10 times harder now. They're showing that if you're not in the right place at the right time, if you're not reading our rotates right, if you're losing out on players like Shocks and Banana, of course we're going to exploit it. We're going to make you feel so uncomfortable on this map that this is how it goes. This is a good turnaround from North. They had a bit of a struggle on their CT side. I thought this could be a little bit of a tough one for them to recover from, but they've actually stabilized nicely.
And G2 played with 2 players over towards that Archer's area in front of Library, right? It was Kenny S first, then Apex was not far behind, but as soon as Kenny S dropped, he sort of overcommitted into a 1v2 where he wasn't sure. A smoke was put straight in front of Apex, so he couldn't see anything. It was just really good timing from North. And they understood that there might be a second player waiting. So yeah, this is all you get with this full loss bonus. If you're not winning a round, you are never going to get the ideal arsenal unless you save a round. And G2 don't feel like it's worth giving a round away in that regard.
No, you've got to feel for them as well, because you just want to, at this point, they just want one on the board. It feels like it's been a lifetime ago since they were in the lead, so.
Well, it was literally last half when they actually won a round.
Yeah. Grim times, and North again, going to just kind of saddle up, pressure quad, no one really there. They're sitting quite deep now, G2. Kenny still being cautious of the play towards CT Arch, but he's trying to help out Apex and MBK if required. He can kind of watch that short push-up, but they've hit the brakes. And this is where Config likes to kind of tighten the noose over by B. He likes to show a little bit of something, show a little bit of leg towards Shocks and Body, but at this point, neither of them have moved yet, and as soon as he's going to hear the rotate, he can then creep out if he wants to. So eyes on Config. If he does it again, he could just slip through towards CT. North are waiting for opportunities, and none have been given to them yet.
Frustrating for Kenny S. Again, are they wrapping? Have they already wrapped?
This is the same sort of smoke. So if MSL and AZ, joined by Config, make noise, you are going to think this is going to be a B hit. But Cage and B and Magis are just waiting. Now, Kenny's playing deeper this time, so that's going to find MSL quite out in the middle of nowhere. But Config,
flash.
Lovely flashes coming through. Isn't going to get the job done straight away, and this is finally a shutdown. North overthinking it, running out of time, and just spreading themselves a little too thin on the map. And G2 just staying alive.
Magis now 1v4. Balcony for him, spray on Apex, doesn't complete. The UMP finds the head. And it's such an interesting smoke towards Library, because what it can actually do is reduce the number of CT players on the A site by 1 while they're checking the wrap. If you actually use that opportunity, if you maybe know there's a player back towards Library, you can hit that A site really hard while he's busy in CT. Unfortunately, North decide to go and see if they can find something in CT, and there are a lot of angles to check as you come through those archways.
Oh, you're absolutely spot on. So there's the first smoke going down there towards the top of Banana there, just going to allow the play to come in. You used to be able to do the deep smokes from CT spawn all the way down to Banana. You can't do it anymore, but it allows Shocks to get here early. It allows him to at least play this if he wants to. And it means that Kenny S can now back away. You used to even be able to do smokes from the top of CT Arch over towards Banana and such and so on. This map has been a little neutered in that aspect, and I think this is why we'll eventually see it being slightly more T-sided, just because you can't do some of the pieces that you used to be able to do. But this is going to be down the line once the teams work out both sides. Right now
It's probably a little bit T-sided anyway.
I think we're just seeing the T-swing because people are working out how they like to approach it. CT's yet to find that as easily, and just being kind of forced back on the sides. But still, it's hard to kind of judge it as well with these two teams, because North have shown they like this map. They're diligent. This is the first we're seeing the official from G2. They've obviously practiced it, but it's very different. So we see North lining up now towards Banana. 4 players there. Magic's now being kind of the, I guess almost the decoy, the
aggravator.
Yeah, exactly. The player being a nuisance, keeping 3 players dedicated towards it. If he shows off a little bit, puts something down. No more utility with him, but just making noise every now and then, a couple of steps. And then just watching the flank. He can just hold the back. So don't worry about Banana, guys. Just focus on what's ahead of you. It's fine. Shocks and Body are here, though. So, again, G2 aren't backing away massively yet.
MSL going to have to go in for this. They're just going to play contact coming through this way. That's pretty nasty. There's a Molotov on the other side, so a lot being expended here by G2 to try and stall this out. But it's 27 seconds. North got to go.
Yeah, and the time, it's run down so far. Great utility put down to slow them. And Body does find a nice shot towards MSL, but it's not enough to hold them down. 20 seconds now. Shocks and Kenny playing both in from the same angle. Can't quite spray the bomb plant.
Unbelievable.
And AZ denies it. That's massive. Now Apex and Kenny S kind of in a troubling spot. Apex still denied by smoke. Kenny looking for anyone, but Config's already playing by dark. You got AZ by Nubox, and then Cage and B and Magic's both watching the cross if required. Apex is already out of there. He knows this one's all but done. Kenny's now joining him. That is frustrating. The first real glimpse of what seemed like maybe G2 had the read in the right place, but they still took down 3 there in the end for North.
And they get reset on the potentially penultimate round of the game. That hurts.
Yeah,
and this is why a 2-gun save is more than reasonable in this scenario. Those coffins are a really interesting part of the map. I mean, spores were never as permeable to bullet fire back when they were there. But the fact that AZ, who's standing not only behind his own player, not only behind the coffins, but also behind that smoke, can trade and get that kill. Yeah. And the bomb planter is actually able to stay alive is pretty ridiculous. And North are taking some sick angels, by the way, up on that B side. When they eventually decided they had to go, they traded into B really effectively.
I think we're seeing North go from strength to strength on their T side here. I think it's becoming a bit of a more go-to, but we also haven't seen G2 really stop anything. They've seen like a little bit of a pushover on this side, not looking as potent, not looking as kind of deadly as they normally do. And this is where I want to see a little bit of aggression. It may not go well, but Apex
great swing out.
Already starting to just kind of make a bit of a play down mid. Now, no one was actually watching the bottom mid. Kenny was there before, but he backed away and left Apex all alone, which is a massive problem. So 4-on-4, sure, but now A is very light for players.
Kenny S. Shot missed, forced to back away now for another go. MSL tagging each other up, and MSL gets the better of Kenny. Kenny got the first shot. He got most of the health away from MSL, and somehow he wins that out. Now, Shocks has the option to go for that AWP, but he's a little bit concerned. Wants to try and just receive. And playing from this position, G2 have generally been successful when they pull back in towards CT and receive any players that are attempting to wrap. Let's see what kind of bars it'll be Shock spitting now, because North haven't made a real attempt to come forward yet. NBK is in a very dangerous position. This is one and done. And there's no one else to back him up, especially with Shocks going down. And North have so many options. NBK's not going to see any action. That's what he wanted. He get the CZ, prime position to take the head off someone. Cajun B, got to be careful. And NBK straight down the middle will take his head off. Unfortunately, it's a site that is rife with North players. A 3v2 on match point.
They've still got mollies and smokes to buy more time, and G2 have no kits. It's going from bad to worse. NBK got health, though. He can make a challenge on this one. You're going to go for it. Let's see what Buddy can do. He needs to get here fast, easy. Not going to miss it, and there goes NBK. North looking extremely good on that T side. And do you know what else is extremely good? My fantasy team. Everyone else got those G2 players in there. I went for North. Get wrecked.
I don't want to talk about my fantasy placements right now, but I'm incredibly impressed by North. They lose one round on that T side. I believe that was 10 T side rounds won, 9 in a row. Very impressive. And I said they had to reciprocate and improve on what G2 did, and they got it done. Let's go now over to the desk to have this very interesting T side map from both sides broken down a bit more.
Thanks, guys. Yes, it was a good game, and I'm glad you brought up that T side because that was utter dominance from North, and that's what we were kind of wondering if G2 was going to be able to come in and really stop that persistence of Danish Counter-Strike to be able to take map control systematically and really leverage the advantage it gives you, and we saw they could control any part of the map they wanted to on that T side whenever they chose to. Yeah,
I think they needed a few more like flash retakes on the excuse me, on the mid wall. G2, you know, they were giving up a lot of territory, and then it's just a matter of finding the frags for North as they walk into areas as a unit and trade off each other very well. I have to cough, Matt, so if you want to take...
you have a button. Just press the cough button, and that's done. All right. This is me talking to buy you time. No, look, I think that this was quite Okay, carry on if you're ready.
Yeah, so this was one of the things I wanted to point out, that boost over the smoke. Yam was actually the first player to ever come up with that in the history of the world.
I get it.
On the old version of Inferno. And then it kind of got adapted, and now we're seeing it in the new version as well. So we have that boost. I know that Henry and Vendetta also loved exploiting that in some of their ESCA games. Then there was like other innovations that we were seeing.
Are you going to mention any good players during this segment?
Yeah, I mentioned Henry G. So the B-site retake using the pot plant boost is really cool. I think we saw that come in as well. They boost over on the pot plant to retake that B site and find an entry frag there. And I saw Apex trying a Molotov onto Porch from the balcony. He was failing it, but it is possible. So that's a cool little innovation as well.
Go check your Twitter.
Yeah, and you also ran over to the computer to get a cheeky little clip made of that to show it properly.
Yeah,
nicely done.
It's on my YouTube.
Going the extra mile.
Yeah, well,
I like that.
Doing the work.
Matt, I know leading into this, you talked about the rotations on Inferno still much the same, how important they can be on this mat, long distance between each one. Which G2 really struggle with, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, decisions. I can't remember what round it was. It was obviously the 2v2 where they went back. AZ got 2 kills over toward Pit. They looked like they were going A, but then Body actually beat Config, who got aggressive for no reason. He had the B site. All he had to do was hold off the rotation. Got a little bit too aggressive. Body was able to take him down, deploy a smoke. Now, that all looks good for G2, but Shocks needs to take more risks in that situation, or whoever, it was Shocks, but whoever's alive in that situation. When you've got that much information, start your rotation off early. You know they've gone toward Banana, get in toward mid, at least get toward bench, where you're slowly pinching off map control, and you're closer to being relevant toward the B site when they attack. So even if they don't go that way, you're gonna strike sooner. Now what happened was, they were about 13 seconds in, Body stayed passive, they walked into the site, at 8 seconds they planted. If Shocks had made his way closer, he got opped immediately by Cajun B in the post plant. But if he's closer, even if he holds them up for 1 second, 2 seconds, and gives the information to Body, they can deny the plant in that situation. So I thought G2 was really, really hesitant for the rotations.
Yeah, certainly by the TF, they looked like they were getting a little bit more passive. But let's focus a little bit. I know we saw in the in the first half, it was actually very, very cool from G2. They started off, we were wondering about those executes they were going to do with their 4 spies. They lose the pistol, second round they win with that beautiful execute over towards Pit.
Yeah, that could have potentially, you can argue it may have been a blunder from the guys on North. I don't think playing in the Pit versus Eco, versus a 4 spy / Eco is smart, because that's a place where you can get overwhelmed and then they can pick up a gun with ease. Maybe you want to play someone castle or 2 site, or even play mid wall, give up the Pit, and then they still have to run past you to get to the side, and then you have the range advantage. By playing in the Pit, even if they do 4 spy, they can close you down with smokes and flashes and get right in your face, which is exactly what we saw happen. And that was good, but I also thought they had some other interesting executes. They were smoking off deep on the long / jungle or arch side, whatever you want to call it. But the problem is, the way that they approached it was they were in the mid corridor. They didn't actually get mid wall. The difference was with North, they were getting the mid wall and then executing. I think it's much better to have that territory because you know the CTs are forced back. They can't be close. They can't get the information and they can't, you know, have a duel before you've got the territory that you want.
Well, G2 drops both maps tonight against North. They got their first win yesterday. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Sadicus especially believes that now G2's chances of making the playoffs extremely diminished.
If they make it, I'll cut my own hair for the rest of the year.
Shave it bald?
Cut my own hair for the rest of the year.
Wuss. Well, that is going to be it for us, or for at least for G2 and North on the evening. So we will be right back. It's going to be the hot match of the night, or of the week, excuse me, when we return. It's going to be Virtus Pro versus Astralis when we come back from the break.